Hey, what's up, guys? This is David Chase Taylor of 911truther.org. Today is November 6th of 2025. So, based on breaking news and events, it appears that CIA headquarters located beneath CERN at Lake Geneva in Switzerland is going to stage an apocalyptic Chinese military offensive on the night of November 6th of 2025 and or the morning of November 7th of 2025, specifically to spawn a second global biological pandemic and or trigger World War III. So before I get into the potential scenarios, it's imperative to note that the night of November 6, 2025, the number 1126, 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 plus 6 is equates to 26, which translates to the letter Z in the English alphabet, which is an acronym for Zionism. And so this is basically World War Z going to transpire on the night of November 6th, the morning of November 7th, around the world. So exactly what type of attack is planned is not known, but the date of November 6th marks exactly 4,620 days since Xi Jinping became the president of China back on March 14th of 2013. The number 4620, this has the number 42 or 24, which equates to the letter X, which is the international symbol of death. And then, of course, it has the number 62 or 26, which equates to the letter Z, which is an acronym for Zionism, which is, in fact, the political motivation behind this impending attack. Whether this is going to be an authentic Chinese offensive is not known, but it's also possible that the CIA could stage an Israeli Navy offensive and then claim it was China in order to trigger World War III. So, in other words, some sort of major made-for-TV Pearl Harbor-like attack is expected this evening, most likely during the live broadcast of the Los Angeles Raiders at the Denver Broncos Thursday night football game in Denver, Colorado. This, of course, this impending attack will obviously result in the declaration of martial law and the declaration of war, and then, of course, the capital of the United States is subsequently going to be moved to Denver, Colorado, and that is why the Denver Broncos are hosting a game on this particular evening. So exactly what type of attack is planned is not known, but it appears that it's going to be a People's Liberation Army Navy, or PLAN, P-L-A-N, China. This is their Navy, and they're going to stage a mass attack. This is going to include, but it's not limited to, 9/11 suicide, kamikaze drone attacks, ballistic missile strikes, cruise missile strikes, bombings, rocket attacks, torpedo attacks, tactical nuclear weapon strikes, and or ICBM-related strikes. This is most likely going to feature a mass attack by China targeting United States Armed Forces military bases in the Pacific Theater. So the United States has troops in Guam, Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. So some sort of mass offensive targeting those respective locations and or major metropolitan cities in those respective countries, such as Seoul, Busan in South Korea, Tokyo in Japan, Manila in the Philippines, Sydney in Australia, Auckland in New Zealand, etc. This attack is likely going to commence in all theaters of war around the world, likely featuring a Chinese naval attack targeting, as mentioned, United States Armed Forces bases in the Pacific as well as in the Middle East. So for those of you that are unaware, China has a military base in Djibouti, which is on the Horn of Africa. So they have they're within proximity to virtually all U.S. Army installations in that particular region. The United States has military bases in Djibouti, next door to this Chinese base in Djibouti, which is weird. And this is an international base, so there's Japanese forces, French forces, German forces, UK forces there. And then there's other bases that are in Israel, obviously Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Yemen, as well as Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Cyprus, and of course Italy, Sicily, Greece, the south of France, as well as Spain and Gibraltar. So this is going to be a multifaceted, multi-pronged attack targeting the United States military bases around the world. The United States has military bases in a total of 170 countries out of 206. One of these particular bases is located in Diego Garcia, which is one of the most important naval installations, and so an attack on Diego Garcia is also expected. Coincidentally, the CIA foreshadowed this impending attack when they released the Xi Jinping World War III propaganda film entitled World War Z. So the name of Xi Jinping, which is spelled XI, which Roman numeral-wise equates to the number 11, which is found in the date of November, the 11th month. The name Xi is also Xi. It's with a Z, depending on how you pronounce it. And this is because this impending attack that's designed to commence, or slated to commence, on the evening of November 6th and the morning of November 7th is designed to trigger World War III by Xi Jinping. And the reason why it's called World War Z is because this is the Zionist establishment which controls the CIA, which is behind China, is basically executing a Chinese version of the Hannibal Directive, which is basically to attack everything. They're basically going to bomb and blow up basically everything that they can. And so I'm not sure if this is going to be a real world Chinese attack or if it's going to be a real world Israel attack and then blamed on China. Because this impending attack is going to be naval in nature. So it's going to be executed and launched from submarines, from destroyers, from aircraft carriers. So the question is, we don't even know if Israel has nuclear weapons, and we don't know how many submarines they have. We don't know how many carriers they have. We don't know anything about Israel's military. And so they can stage an attack from the ocean, and then when bombs, missiles, rockets, and drones start coming in, they can have Chinese decals, Chinese paintings on them, and nobody would be able to tell the difference. And in order to foreshadow this impending attack, the country of Singapore just ordered 900 Israeli drones. And so they're called Hermes drones. So they just ordered yesterday 900, and this is designed to foreshadow some sort of mass attack by China, or by Israel that's masquerading as China. That being said, the date of November 6th marks exactly 4,540 days since the movie World War Z premiered in theaters back on June 2nd, 6/2 of 2013. This is just a few months after Xi Jinping was sworn into office. Obviously, the number 62 or 26 equates to the letter Z, which is an acronym for Zionism, which is found in the title World War Z. In order to foreshadow this impending attack, the CIA, via TikTok, which is a Chinese social media platform, introduced this meme called 6-7, which they have been pimping incessantly all over the internet, all over social media, and it has no inherent meaning, but it has an esoteric meaning because this is when China is going to attack. And so the number 6-7 is the night of the 6th and the morning of the 7th. And so this attack is obviously designed to spawn a second global biological pandemic and or trigger World War III. This impending attack will likely assassinate U.S. President Donald J. Trump in Washington, D.C., so we can expect a Chinese military offensive targeting the west coast and the east coast of America, targeting U.S. ships that are sailing off the coast of Venezuela right now. We have 8 ships and 1 aircraft carrier and 1 submarine. And then we can expect a Chinese military offensive targeting U.S. military bases and allies in the Asian Pacific theater, as mentioned, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Malaysia, obviously Japan, and likely they'll probably throw Taiwan in there, and then of course Japan, South Korea, Guam, the Philippines, Hawaii, And then, of course, on the West Coast, possibly Vancouver, Canada, Seattle, Washington, San Francisco, um, uh, Los Angeles, San Diego, etc. And then on the East Coast, likely Houston, New Orleans, Miami, Washington, Baltimore, Boston, New York City, etc. And so, just for the record, it's imperative to note here that China is under command and control of CIA in Switzerland. And so, also, the Israeli Mossad and the Israeli Navy and the Israeli Air Force is also under their command. And so, what the CIA does is essentially use the Mossad and the military of Israel to basically attack people and then frame other countries for this attack in order to trigger World War III. That is why in history none of the wars make any sense, because they are basically false flags. And virtually every war has started with a false flag, including the Vietnam War with the Gulf of Tonkin incident, the World War I with the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, World War II with the attack on Pearl Harbor, obviously the Iraq War with 9/11, and so on and so forth. Also with the October 7th attack, a false flag, which started the Hamas-Israel war. So this is going to be a made-for-TV event. It's likely going to start out small, and so it's likely going to start out with an initial attack or invasion of a sovereign nation, and then it's going to escalate very quickly. And it's basically designed to because it's going to attack so many nations, it's basically going to pit the United States and her European allies in NATO against China, and then Russia will likely join with China as well as North Korea, Iran, possibly Pakistan. So this is going to be very ugly, very nasty, and this is Switzerland starting World War III via their proxy states, and obviously that cannot be allowed to happen. So if the CIA stages a Chinese offensive on the evening of November 6th or the morning of November 7th, know that it was orchestrated, planned, premeditated, and orchestrated by Switzerland, and it could be in fact executed by the Israeli Navy, because this all the money that's been going to Israel from the United States is obviously going somewhere, and we don't know where it's going. We don't know what they're buying. We don't know what type of equipment they have, and so they could in fact stage an apparent Chinese attack, which is in fact executed by the Israeli Navy. And one look no further than the the USS Liberty incident of June 8th of, I believe, 1967, which is coincidentally found in the numerology of November 6th through 7th, where the Israeli Navy unleashed a horrific attack targeting the USS Liberty while sailing off the coast of the Sinai Peninsula in the Mediterranean Sea by the Israeli Navy and by the Israeli Air Force. I believe over 100 U.S. soldiers were killed, and the ship was heavily damaged. And this attack is basically indicative of how the CIA plans to start World War III, with a major, major false flag. And of course, nobody would ever think of Israeli ships being in the Pacific Theater, but they are in fact in the Pacific Theater. They are all over the world, and they have the technology and the intelligence to avoid detection by the United States and other countries. And so they apparently are ready to strike under the guise of a Chinese flag. So obviously, if that happens, I would kindly ask that you download this video and share it with local, state, and federal law enforcement, military, and intelligence officials, as well as with local, national, and international media outlets. Peace.